Jerome and Weimar's telling us this morning that they're doing much, much better, and I'm very, very happy to hear that, and that you're getting, tests back much more quickly now. Contacts are being contacted much more quickly. That's terrific to hear. But let's use that as an example, because there's a number of texts coming through this morning saying that they're cross at me this morning for asking questions about contact tracing, and that I'm presenting a negative point of view about contact tracing, and that's not helpful. I'm just trying to get a few of them specifically here, but that's a general impression that's coming through. Some people saying, stop being so critical, and we weren't hauled to New South Wales to be told what to do. I'm sorry, it's my interpretation of what happened, that we were. There was a requirement that Victoria go up there and actually sit down and listen to how New South Wales did it. But look, let's hear from the experts. Dr. Vyom Sharma is a Melbourne GP broadcaster and science communicator and has been staying on this issue closely. He's intrigued and worried about our contact tracing here. Dr. Sharma, good to talk to you again. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
So you just heard that example from Jane in Frankston. What's your understanding of what we're requiring of close contacts now of positive cases, and is it sufficient?
Look, no, I don't think it's sufficient. So at the moment what's happening is close contacts are required to quarantine and isolate and get tested really either only if they have symptoms or on day 11. And there's numerous issues there. The first of which is just this definition of close contact. It's 15 minutes face-to-face with someone who's confirmed to be a case. And now there's issues around this definition, as we are seeing with the Chadstone cluster. We had two customers who became infected, and it's pretty unlikely that they had a 15-minute conversation with their butcher. They were likely casual contacts. So I don't think we're tracing everyone we could be tracing now, especially now that numbers are so low. The second issue with this Chadstone cluster is what's been indicated by the spread to Kilmore, which is that, look, if you're a close contact, yes, you are absolutely required to isolate, but guess what? The people you live with, they don't have to isolate. The theory is that you just stay in your room and you'll be fine, whereas as we know from just the way this infection spreads within homes, that's often not enough, and clearly that's what's happened here. Someone who was a close contact clearly spread the infection to a family member who then travelled to Kilmore. Now, truth be told, Brett Sutton was asked about this yesterday, and he said that at the time, that person may not have been aware that they were a close contact, that first person who got infected. But he said, as far as I know. So we can't even be sure of that. And I think there's just a broader illustration here that goes beyond just this example. So there's a lot more to be done, even on contact tracing in general. We were told at the start of September that we'd be setting up 5 localised hubs, having a more localised approach to contact tracing. Only 3 have been set up so far, so I'm yet to see the work there.
They're the suburban hubs, only 3
Correct,
of those 5, yeah.
Exactly, it's the 3 of the 5 so far. So, I'm yet to see what more can be done there. But really, I'm not overly concerned about, pure numbers of, 2,000 contact traces. It's more about our approach, who it is we contact trace. Is it just close contacts, or should we go to casual contacts too sometimes? And what do we ask those people to do? Do we ask them to isolate? Do we ask them to get tested, which we are currently not? So, for example, one of the things that Jerry said there was even people without symptoms we want to get tested. It's actually not true. It's only true for the Kilmore outbreak at that cafe. If you actually look on DHHS's website, for people at Chadstone, they are only testing asymptomatic, non-symptomatic people who are staff at Chadstone, not necessarily casual contacts who attended the butcher. So that is not currently on the website.
Okay, well, let's go back to what Jerome Weimar told me earlier about that, what to do if you've been identified as a close contact.
We absolutely ask you to isolate. We absolutely ask you to go and get tested. So in that sense, this is very consistent. What we did with Kilmore yesterday, and this is again an evolution of our approach as the numbers come down and as we have to continue to move faster to get the remaining cases out. We have asked anybody who's been to the cafe in Kilmore to come and get tested, regardless of whether you have symptoms or not.
But that requirement is not being asked of people with the Chadstone cluster, Dr. Sharma, and you're saying that it should be.
Yeah, and to give the extend the benefit of doubt here, they're probably going, well, people who attended the cafe are most likely to be close contacts, and people who attended the butchers are most likely to be casual contacts, much less risky. But guess what? We've already got 2 infected customers there at the butchers who likely were not close contacts in the first place. So I think we can afford to be a bit more liberal with our testing here. The numbers are so low. We've fallen down to 6 today. We have the capacity to test. We have the capacity to trace. One of the other issues that Brett Sutton brought up when he was asked yesterday, after I kind of asked that this question be put to him, should we be getting contacts off contacts to be isolating? So, for example, if I was a close contact at Chadstone, someone who I've been in contact with, should they be isolating as well? Because this is exactly what they do in Vietnam. This kind of 3 degrees of isolation. His response was, look, there's some legal issues there we might need to change, and he brought up this word proportionality. Now, the law I'm not an expert on, but to me, the law is far more changeable and mutable than the laws of this virus. But in terms of proportionality, it has never been more proportional for us to be hyper-aggressive with our cluster management and asking people to isolate. I can imagine the impost of tracing casual contacts and getting contacts of contacts to isolate if we have 30 cases a day, 50 cases a day, 100 cases a day. We don't. We've got 6 today. And if we can properly incentivise people who are contacts of contacts in high-risk outbreaks such as this one to isolate and give them money and give them the support and give them the security, we could snuff this out. We are so close. It has never been more proportional to drop the hammer, so to speak, if we can incentivise it for the people who are at risk.
Well, that's a good observation, but surely the incentive is already there. The incentive is to get out of this lockdown and to get this thing fixed. But I'm very glad that you could make those points this morning, because I think these really are the questions that need to be continually asked until we get through this. No one wants to see this getting out of control again. All right-thinking members of the community, whether they express it differently or not, clearly have the same intention, which is to make this work and to do their bit to make it work. So we'll keep having the conversation and asking those questions. Viom, really good to talk to you again. Thank you.
Thanks, Virginia.
Dr. Viom Sharma, Melbourne GP, broadcaster and science communicator, who's been staying right on this and sort of really peppering the government with consistent questions about, just in an effort to make sure that truth is being spoken to power, but also that they're called to account for the job that they have to do. We know the job that we have to do, which is to keep isolating. The one thing we rely on for them to get right is to now, after all that we've gone through, get that contact tracing right.